So now let's take a look at our second volume indicator. And let's start by opening the indicator up. So we want to go up here to the indicators tab. And now we want to search for volume profile. And then we want to actually type visible, we want to just search for volume profile here. And as you guys can see, we have tons of different volume profile indicators created. You can see where it says community here. All of these indicators where it says community are indicators created by the TradingView community. But we also have a few volume profiles that are created by TradingView. And the one we're going to use in this video is called visible range volume profile. So let's actually open this one up. And as you can see, now we actually have some volume bars appearing here to the right of the screen. You can see now the volume is actually to the right here. And what does all of these bars actually tell us? Well, now we can see at what levels on the chart did we see the most volume. So for example, this level right here, where you can see the tallest bar, means that when we are looking at the chart, as we're looking at the chart right now, this area was the area where we saw most of the volume traded. So this right here was a very significant area where we saw lots of buying and selling happening. And you can actually also see here on the bars that we have a red part and we have a blue part. And this basically shows you how much of the volume was controlled by the sellers and how much of the volume was controlled by the buyers. So this can also give you some indications. But another thing about the visible range volume profile is that this one will make its calculations based on the chart you're looking at right now. So if you, for example, zoom out a bit here, you will actually notice how the volume profile automatically changes. So now, when we zoomed out, you can now see that the most volume from this perspective, how we're looking at the chart right now, was of course traded in this range right here. You can see that during this range we had the price was at this area for a very long time, so of course it accumulated lots of volume. But this is one thing I really like about the visible range. So let's say you are a long-term trader, then you might want to look from a more zoomed out perspective. But if you are more of a short-term trader, you might want to look at a much shorter term perspective. So for example, right here, you can see we can zoom in a lot and the volume profile will change. But alright, so now you might of course wonder, you can see that we have a line right here on the screen. This line is called the POC, and this right here stands for point of control. This is pretty simple. This is just the line where the most volume was traded. But now guys, let's actually change a few settings. So to do this, we want to go up here to the upper left corner once again, and we want to press on settings right here. So first of all, you can see that we can display the values if we want to. I don't think that's something we want to do. That makes the chart pretty noisy. We can also change how wide the boxes are here and so on and so on. But the first important setting I want to show you guys is this one called VAH and VAL. This one stands for value area high and value area low. So I want you guys to actually check both of these settings, and now we can press OK. So now you can see that we have two more lines. This is the value area high, or VAH, and this right here is the value area low. And what does these lines actually tell us? Well, these lines tell us that 70% of all volume was traded between these two lines. So here we can see that most volume was traded during these two lines. And of course, these two lines will change depending on how we look at the chart. So if we zoom out, now you can see that 70% of the volume was traded between these two lines, and so on and so on. Now let's actually go back here to the settings, because we can also, if we click on inputs here, we can change the settings. So as you can see right now for the value area volume, it says 70. This means that between the value area high and value area low, it's 70%. But we could, let's say we change to 90%. Now you will see that this area will of course increase, because now 90% of the volume was traded between these two areas, and so on and so on. So we can change the settings, but the most common one is to keep it at 70 right here. Another setting that I like to use is the row size here. So right now the row size is 24. That means that we have 24 lines here to the right. But if we want to make it more detailed, we can actually, for example, change it to 100. Now you can see that we have a much more detailed volume profile here. We have much more in depth here, the volume. And this can actually be a very useful thing, especially when we zoom in here to some shorter time frames. It can be very useful to have more detail about the volume. And now let's actually talk a little bit about how can we actually use the volume profile. Well, many traders will use it something like this. They will say that, okay, so here we had lots of volume. This means that this right here is a support or resistance area. And in my opinion, this doesn't really work. It's not really the right interpretation. We can see in this case that the price actually bounced off this level, but I think this was more a coincidence, because these areas where we have lots of volume will more often be the sort of trading ranges. They will not be clear support levels. The actual key levels will many times be just above where we have had lots of volume. So you can see this level. Let me actually show you guys a bit more clear here. If we draw a horizontal line of the resistance we talked about earlier, remember we had resistance, 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 you can actually see that this level will be just above, or if we have a resistance, just below where lots of volume was traded. Why is this the case? Well, when we break a key resistance, like we saw right here, remember the gap, this usually leads to a strong move towards the upside or strong move towards the downside, at least if we have a strong breakout. And here you can see we did see lots of volume, we did see lots of signs that this is a good breakout. So this was actually a good breakout, and then we tend to see a nice follow through. But when we see a good breakout like this, you can see that the price tends to move fast, and this will actually lead to very low readings on the volume profile. So one of the things I'm looking out for when it comes to the volume profile is more to look out for the areas where we have very little volume, because these tend to be areas where the price have moved fast in the past, and because the price have moved fast in the past, it increases the likelihood of the price moving fast in the future as well. So if we, for example, zoom out right here, we can take a look at yet another key resistance level. Once again, right here, you can see we had a very key resistance. We saw resistance 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. We saw a massive breakout right here. And once again, take a look at where is the resistance. Well, the resistance is exactly above where we saw lots of volume on the volume profile. So exactly above this part here where we have lots of volume, this is where we saw the very nice breakout. But yeah, guys, this is just one way I like to use the volume profile. The volume profile has many use cases, and I'm definitely not saying that this is the correct way or this is the only way. This is just one of the ways I like to use the volume profile. But feel free to experiment with the volume profile, experiment with the settings to find, what works for you. Alright, so this video was actually just a short clip from our full volume trading course. To watch the full course, simply click or tap on the screen right here. I hope I will see you all over there very soon, but for now, take care. Ciao, ciao.